Put up resistance to me, so I let you go.
For me, signing a contract is a normal thing. What's next after the signing?
Был у нас эпизод.
There was a moment when he and I were in a disagreement, and we didn't speak to each other for 2 days.
Мы не разговаривали двое суток.
Я 30 лет работаю в шоу-бизнесе.
I've been working in the show business for 30 years, and I've not seen something like this ever in these 30 years.
Я была в шоке.
I was shocked by his makeover. It was as fast as the lightning.
Удачи!
I'm a very big fan of Dimash. He made a promise to himself, which is yet to be fulfilled.
They call him a man of dreams, but he considers himself as a man with ambitions. But is fame the real pursuit of Dimash Kudaibergen, or is he realizing his ambition to be an inspiration? Everyone who at least once crossed paths with Dimash finds that his creativity turns them into his fan. He has the voice and he has the talent, but most importantly, he has the thirst for music, and his gift is naturally filling the space with energy.
It's always easy to work with him because he breathes music. He lives music and he feeds on music. He always hums a tune or a melody even while relaxing. He's always thinking about music. He's a very talented person.
This footage is from Dimash's first international show, Arna Kinetic Voice, in the capital of Kazakhstan in 2019.
Я вам обещаю, пока будет востребовано мое творчество, я буду сочинять для этого замечательного певца и замечательного парня Димаш Кудайберген.
Спасибо, маэстро! Игорь крутой!
Астана Arena has 30,000 seats, and today it's a full house. The audience is excited and enjoying the show within these 2 hours, except the main organizer, Dinara Adam. She's watching the show from behind the scene, while Dimash and his fans, the Deers, are having a good time. She's not one of the audience who attends this show, but instead, she is the person behind the launch of this big event. She's very nervous at the moment and prays that everything will go smoothly. These trampolines gave Dinara Adam a whole set of grey hair.
У нас же были номера с батутами, вот, и здесь, в ВЗС, в Казмедиа-центре.
We did our rehearsals at Qazaq Center, and we had a few trampolines there. Dimash was continuously jumping on the trampolines, and every time he did that, my heart skipped a beat. I get very nervous, but I can't just tell him to stop jumping. Every time I go there, I'm anxious to know if he's jumping or not. Sometimes I argued with myself whether to tell him not to jump or just let him be. It was very difficult for me. I understand that he is a perfectionist and he wants to give his best for the concert. He also wants to be honest with his audience throughout the performance, but we as organizers are seriously worried if something unfortunate were to happen to him.
Нам это потрепало нервишки, скажем так, серьезно.
Dinara tried in every possible way to discourage Dimash from jumping on the trampoline and risk falling down the stage during the opening of his concert. But he disagreed. They even argued with each other, but Dimash was still adamant with his decision.
у нас эпизод, когда мы с ним зашли, скажем так, в зону конфликта.
There was a moment where he and I disagreed and we didn't speak to each other for 2 days while we were preparing for the concert. Instead of speaking to each other, we asked other people to speak for us. We had a discussion about the performance. He wanted to fly up to the rockets and space above, and he proposed the idea of falling down from above as part of the opening scene of the concert. The fact that he wanted to fall.
Интро, просто обратите внимание, где он летит вниз. Вот, чтобы вы знали, все Адам Медиа там трясло.
When everyone at Adam Media heard that, they all shook with fear. We could accept that he wanted to fly over the stadium because it wasn't as scary as it sounded. We could see everything clearly from above, but the stunt that he proposed, I don't know how I'm still breathing. But his persistence taught us one thing. He gives his all from start to finish. Everything he does it as best as he can.
Да, все, что я делаю максимально хорошо. Вот этот его перфекционизм. Ну, я уже, будучи взрослой...
He is a perfectionist, but as an adult, I have to say that this is not always a good character. Although I do want to live a perfect life. But for him, he is that kind of person, a perfectionist.
Вот, по-честному. Он так умеет.
Dimash's personal relationship with others is built over his sincerity. For example, Alexander Reva confessed that when he heard Dimash's voice for the first time on the internet, he thought that the voice was edited using a computer program. He didn't believe that a person can have such high notes in vocal range. But when he saw and heard Dimash's performance live, he simply couldn't believe what he heard.
Физиологически он похож на землян, но он явно не из этой планеты.
Dimash may look like a usual person, but he's clearly not from this planet. I think it's only natural that people want to look at him and somehow want to touch him. That is something that artists should accept. There are examples of unique people such as Michael Jackson, Queen, the Beatles, and Elvis Presley, where at a certain stage in their lives, people just go crazy over them. They went somewhere or did something, and people just followed them. This kind of fanaticism is quite an unprecedented event. It's also unreal because I think it's impossible to go completely crazy over a person. Fans who faint or lose their consciousness when they see artists or celebrities are respectively quite unusual people.
Или еще что-то. Это все необычные люди и необычные, соответственно, фанаты. Слава богу, благодаря моим родителям досталась способность чувствовать по голосу, по глазам, по...
But I thank God, I thank my parents that I'm able to feel people's sincerity just by listening to their voice and looking in their eyes. I've made several mistakes in the past, but I believe that these are lessons that I've learned from. But after talking to Dimash, I find that he's a very humble and unique person.
Это очень необычный.
The friendship between Dimash Kudaibergen and Alexander Reva looks like a paradox from the outside because the way they perform is very different from each other. It seems like they have nothing in common, but that's what makes their friendship unique. It's a different energy, says the Russian showman.
Я думаю, я фанат. Я вообще к фанатизму, опять же, слово «фанат» можно назвать.
I'm a very big fan of Dimash Kudaibergen. You can interpret it in different ways, but I'm his fan. I actually like the word fan. I like his creativity. I call myself as a fan of the world of Dimash. We both had mutual energy when we first met, and in 1 second, 1 minute, we felt like we've known each other for a long time, and we quickly became friends. He told me that he's a fan of my creativity, and I told him I'm a fan of Dimash, and he was very modest about it. That made me realize who this man really was.
Та скромность. Ну, я сразу понял, кто этот человек.
Я его фанат, он учился. Я его фанат. Вам надо сделать дуэт, точно. А может быть, мало ли, вдруг.
Khizri Baitaziev described Dimash Kudaibergen as a man of few words, and he always does things in his own style. Khizri regards himself not as a producer but a promoter. He does not popularize a person, but he can definitely recognize a star among hundreds of people, as if spotting a diamond in the dirt or a needle in a haystack. Once he identifies a person, he helps that person to rise to new heights. Qazaq has been organizing shows and concert tours, which are mostly in Russia, for famous artists for more than 30 years.
Димаш это тот такой, ну я не хочу извините меня за сравнение.
Excuse me for this comparison, but Dimash is like, all right, what was the best thing during the USSR? Ballet, Bolshoi theater, circus, and other things. But there was always something missing. Dimash is also something like that. Something that is not enough in a world that already has everything.
В мире, который все есть.
It seems like a pattern has been established. First, people are fascinated by Dimash's voice, and then they try to imitate it as best as they can. And then they realize that the source of this energy that Dimash has is much deeper than the usual singing practice in the shower.
Когда эта девочка из Казани умирала.
There was a girl from Kazan who was on her deathbed, and she wanted to meet Dimash so much before she passed away, and Dimash went to see her. It was possible to find 500 reasons not to go. He could say that there is no time for him to go there to meet her, and he could have sent a postcard or make a video message for her, but he actually accepted the invitation of the girl's parents and went all the way to see her. He's a man of his word. If he says that he'll do something, oh, he'll do it. I talk to him a lot on the plane whenever we fly, and I can say that the way he thinks is like a person who's living a full life. One can learn a lot from him based on what he talks and what he thinks about. He's a great person, and he always tries to help people. He can be very upset when he hears that someone is going through a tough moment. Dimash always said that he doesn't want anybody to know about his kindness. He always helps others without telling anybody, but at the end of the day, everybody still knows about it.
Все об этом узнали.
Nina Bugaychenko is an author of a collection of poems about Dimash. For her, he's like a ray of light that shines in the darkness.
Я не знала о нем ничего.
I didn't know anything about Dimash at first due to my personal circumstances, because at that time, I wasn't interested in the world nor the society. Back then, my family is my only world, and unfortunately, I've lost a person who is very dear to me, my soulmate. I filled my emptiness with classical music and books.
И вдруг неожиданно я услышала эту песню, я услышала голос Димаша.
And one day, I heard Dimash's voice, and I realized that I held my breath until the song ends. I read everything about him on the internet by morning the next day. For 2 weeks, I asked my relatives to listen to his songs. I also found people who have similar interests with me in my city, and I joined the Almaty chat group, EFK.
В своем родном городе. И попала в алматинский чат EFK. Так, потихонечку.
I was totally mesmerized by Dimash's music.
Попала в плен музыки Димаша.
EFK is an abbreviation of the Eurasian Fan Club. It has thousands of members on the internet who are ready to wait for hours to see their idol even for a short period of.
Не стану льстить и восхвалять до неба. Слова воздержания, конечно, поищу. Но я испытываю гордость за родного человека и радость от того, что время с ним одно делю.
The story of Nina Bugaychenko is very similar to the story of the leader of Dimash's fans club in Ukraine, Yevgenia Basegyan.
Дело в том, что я потеряла любимого мужа. Был такой момент в жизни, это было 3 года назад.
3 years ago, I lost my beloved husband, and it was a very sad moment in my life. I took this loss quite hard on myself after a lapse of 1.5 years. I never felt calm, and one day I asked God to give me something to take this pain away. About a week after that, I heard Dimash's voice on the television, on the Ukrainian television, and it was unexpected, because usually they don't show this kind of thing.
Буквально я потом это все сопоставила, я слышу голос Димаша. Я слышу его по телевидению, по нашему украинскому телевидению. Неожиданно что, потому что его у нас, в принципе, не показывали. Я просто услышала сначала голос, подняла глаза.
I was very surprised when I heard his voice for the first time. He was singing the SOS song, which began with people expressing their love for Dimash. I heard everything and I was lost in the song.
Все, я потеряла.
For Yevgenia, the concert in Kiev was like a breath of fresh air and a motivation for her to live on. Based on tradition, Dimash's fans, dears, would prepare a dressing room for him before a concert in any city in the world. Yevgenia was so actively involved in the preparation that she even studied the menu of Qazaq cuisine and contacted the airport management to prepare for Dimash's arrival.
И в аэропорту сделали такое, что очень небывалое дело.
The airport did an unprecedented thing by greeting Dimash in Kazakh. And this is an international airport we're talking about. This could not be done without the embassy's assistance.
Dimash Kudaibergen.
Там же мы ему вручили булаву.
We presented to Dimash a symbolic mace, you know, the Hatman mace. We immediately named him the Hatman of our hearts, something like a hero or leader. We decorated his dressing room, and there was Qazaq, the horse meat that Kazakhs usually eat. It's cut into slices. We decorated the table and other things in the room. Most importantly, we hung an iron brand new embroidered shirt. We really wanted Dimash to sing a Ukrainian song while wearing the embroidered shirt. We were sure that he would sing a song in Ukrainian, but we weren't so sure about him wearing the shirt. But then, as soon as the concert began, Dimash came out with his arms outstretched, wearing the embroidered shirt, and the audience was surprised. There was a chant, in an embroidered shirt, in an embroidered shirt, in an embroidered shirt, that went throughout the hall. It was a very emotional moment, and everyone was grateful for his gesture.
Stage director Anna Oboyanskaya was very nervous before the concert this time. She has been working with Dimash's team since 2017. They did the Bastau concert together in Kazakhstan, and they also did concert in London and Kremlin. Realizing the level and scope of work, she was very afraid as she wondered how would her favorite artist, whom she put so much effort to organize successful concerts for, be accepted in her homeland.
Я много кому рассказывала о нем, даже своим коллегам в Украине.
I told a lot of people about Dimash, even my colleagues from Ukraine. I told them the fantastic things that happened, and my colleagues believed me from the very first time that I told them. Dimash is a truly world-class artist, an incredible resonance on a global scale, and this is an indisputable fact. At the same time, based on our understanding and experience of show business, especially if we speak in the context of Ukraine, no one is as popular as Dimash, even those artists that are famous in the international pop scene.
Другие артисты мировой поп-сцены. И я рассказывала тебе еще своим коллегам, как там тот же Бастау, как слетались самолетами.
I told my colleagues about this and about the Bastau concert as well, how the fans flew in by plane and all that. There was a 23-year-old boy who assembled the arena so easily, just like with a snap of his fingers. Experienced cultural figures hardly believe this because they've dealt with many famous artists for years. They all resort to all kinds of different showbiz tricks. In other words, by hook or by crook, they will do whatever it is to achieve their goal.
И в итоге, когда концерт в Киеве объявлен...
But in Dimash's case, everything happened just as it is, naturally and quickly as possible, without any challenges. When the concert in Kiev was announced, I had to assemble a team there, so I asked some people to cooperate on the project. I invited them to see what I was talking about. They came, looked, heard what is happening, and they were all amazed. They said that it's something incredible. It's like, it's magic. It's really something amazing.
Это правда, и это удивляет, это восхищает, это очень круто.
Anna Oboyanskaya came up with the idea of bringing the motorcycle on stage in Kiev. Her idea was immediately approved by Dimash. the stage director also came up with many of his other stage stunts. For example, Arna was the one who thought of the presentation using all 4 elements in Dimash's performance in Tashkent. It was during the opening of the Year of Kazakhstan in Uzbekistan.
Использовались проекционные технологии. Очень красивое было оформление сцены.
We used the projection technology to create the beautiful stage design and beautiful graphics. There was a 3D effect where the artist plunged into a space atmosphere in real mode. The idea of 4 elements were brought to life, and the 5th element, Dimash, his voice and his talent was added into this. They showed different elements over the course of the song to show how Dimash controls his voice. From his high notes, there were waves of hands, the growing flame, and there were also splashes of waves, and all these elements came together in cosmic energy against the backdrop of his voice. The 5th key energy or element that moves the world is the artist, Dimash, and his unique talent.
На фоне его голоса. То есть, по сути, 5-я ключевая энергия, стихия, которая движет миром, это и есть человек и его уникальный талант.
There was even a period when Dimash's time was divided by Anna Oboyanskaya and Dinara Adam. While he was preparing for his Now Kinetic Voice concert in Nur Sultan, he was also a jury member at the Baketi Bala Children's Festival in October. Before the global pandemic, the festival was held twice in 2018 and 2019. For the first time, Dimash attended almost every round of the event, but after 1 year, his presence somewhat declined.
Он, скажем так, незримо присутствовал. Все знали, что он, но его никто не видел. И в последний день, день гала-концерта.
He was invisibly present, so to speak, because he did attend the event, but no one saw him. On the last day of the competition, the gala concert, he came to do sound check. Everyone knows that he was there, and he knows everything, he heard everything, and he rewarded the winner with special prize. Usually when the children sees him, they got shocked and excited at the same time. These children were given the opportunity to sing without feeling worried or anxious or excited or shy in front of him during the auditions.
Конкурсные дни, когда у них были конкурсные слушания, спокойно спеть без лишней тревоги или волнения, или стеснения.
But in the first year of the competition, there were children who saw him and began to cry, and they forget that they had to sing. They were so overwhelmed with emotions that they burst into tears on stage. We had to tell them that Dimash will leave, so don't cry. So in the second year, we decided to do some changes, and it worked out well.
Поэтому на второй год мы немножко вот так сделали такую, другой немножечко ход, и он оказался выигрышным.
At the same time, they both have to explain to people why they can't see Dimash. Anna had to explain to children in October, while Dinara with adult ears in Nur Sultan.
Когда у нас были репетиции, приезжали фанатки, девочки из Китая, было холодно.
I remember when we had our rehearsals and fans from China, a group of girls came to the rehearsal location. It was cold on that day. I called my sister and asked her to tell the fans that they are not allowed to go in to meet Dimash during his rehearsal. When I came to the rehearsal again the next day early in the morning, the girls were still there. They were just standing at the main entrance because we didn't let them in. Okay, I understand. These girls from China are young. But I was shocked to see women of my age, from Riga, St. Petersburg, Moscow, all of them stood at the same place. I approached them and asked, "What are you doing here? You're not allowed to go in." They answered me back with, "We are here to be near to Dimash."
It is quite amusing to see Dimash's fans being sincerely and absolutely devoted to him. But these fans are people who've overcome life challenges and they can give very practical advice. All of the fans, the dears, believe that one day Dimash will win the Grammy. The question of when for them is purely technical.
There are two main challenges that Dimash faces in winning the Grammy Award, and that is genre and the English language. Nearly all Grammy Award categories are genre-based and require an album to be submitted for consideration. It's just really difficult to put Dimash into one specific category because of his unique blended style. But he would need to record an album in one genre in order to be considered for the Grammy. And actually, the classical category is the one genre that doesn't necessarily require English. Now, if Dimash is hoping to win in one of the general categories, such as Album of the Year or Record of the Year, he definitely would need to focus on his English pronunciation. He's come so far in 3 years in learning English, but in order to win the Grammy, he needs to perfect his English pronunciation.
There are different awards. If Dimash wants to be recognized and popular, then he needs to write and perform trending music. If he wants to be focused on a particular genre, then he has to give up multi-genre. But if he wants a reward for his contribution to the music industry, then he shouldn't listen to anyone and continue making good music all his life. At the end of the day, the reward will find him.
У Димаша есть очень правильные качества. Он очень настырный.
Dimash has the right qualities of a successful artist. He's very persistent, and he always wants to be number one. I remember meeting him in Astana after 3 to 4 months of competition in China. He told me that he's leaving for a competition, although he doesn't understand what the competition was about. We wished him luck anyways, and he said to me, "You know, Renat, I really want to win at the competitions." He said this after winning the Slaviansky Bazaar competition. It can be seen that Dimash is a man with a purpose. He always wants to win and be the first in everything. People say dreams come true. Dreams do come true only when you really want them to.
Renat Gaisin perfectly understands what Dimash wants and helps him to execute his plans. Many Kazakh singers dream of working with a composer, but Renat is very selective. He prefers to write songs only for musicians who are actually creative people and not just performers.
Быть музыкантом изнутри, во-первых, дано не каждому.
Not everyone is naturally a musician. Many performers are singers, actors, and people who have a certain profession, but I think the phenomenon of Dimash is very different. From my personal view, I think Dimash can fully relate himself to the music that he performs. From A to Z, he understands what the song would be like, and he can imagine how he should sing this song. He always has the composition of the music in his head.
Некое построение этой песни.
Dimash's professional ambitions are also shared by many outside of Kazakhstan. Many fans have hopes for a lasting creative collaboration between him and Igor Krutoy. The famous composer does not only write amazing music for Dimash, he also studies the music and gives his recommendations. Igor Krutoy believes that one needs to go out to the world if one desires global fame.
It's not easy to be a global success. He has to live overseas because living in Kazakhstan and performing in Russia, China, while at the same time getting promoted in America, England, and the West is not going to work. He knows it. He can sign contracts with managers, but no matter how successful these contracts are, it's not the same as signing contracts with Western companies. Dimash and Kanat are very careful when it comes to signing contracts, and that's probably the right thing to do. For me, signing a contract is a normal thing. What's next, after the signing? Is there a guarantee that the project will be successful? There's no guarantee. Also, I believe that Dimash can be the first artist to have a crossover of genres or singing multiple genres at once. But there's a serious competition in the popular music, pop and dance genre, so it'll be difficult to compete. But then again, he has to try everything. He's only 26.
Там достаточно серьезная конкуренция, и там будет сложнее. Но надо пробовать все, что ему не
алшағы туыз бауырға ағайыншы көңілімнен мен сіздерге айтамын қазағымның жігіттері йоу толайын біз жігіттерге жодан асыл лақат ағайын таныс әлемі танысқа бәрібір үлкен кетті кіші кетті сый құрмет сәлем біл өз ана тілі қасірлеген ардақтап тұрады білген басыр емес еді қыз.
Alexander Reva recommends Dimash to try different things instead of following the traditional trend of sticking to one thing. which in Dimash's case is